Hello and welcome. I am Michael Pugh, President and CEO of Carver Federal Savings Bank. We're excited to kick off this series of conversations with business leaders, members of the clergy, and other critical influencers of our community. For starters, Mr. Leonard Marshall, ex-New York Giant, hero, and leader, will be kicking off the first series. I can't emphasize it enough and tell you how proud I am to have Mr. Marshall joining us for these series of conversations. Mr. Marshall's session will share his passion for growth and economic development. Carver supports these values, and we have done so for more than 72 years. We're proud to say that we are one of the nation's minority deposit institutions. In fact, one of the largest African American and Caribbean American managed banks in the country. More importantly, over 80 cents of every dollar that we have on deposit gets reinvested in the communities that we serve. We have more than 15,000 hours in the past couple of years invested in financial education. And we say this, we share these things with you because we understand that as Mr. Marshall talks about growth and economic development, those things can only happen if you are passionate about supporting your communities. We think that these forums with critical leaders like Mr. Marshall are examples of how we can help to inspire change. We hope you like it. Let us know what you think.
Hello, my name is Rick Muskus, and I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Carver Federal Savings Bank, headquartered in Harlem, New York. I welcome everyone to the first in our series of Carver Conversations, a discussion highlighting our community mission in parallel to those of our conversation guests. We are honored today to host a very special guest, a friend of Carver Bank, and someone who is not only considered an NFL great, but a leader in business, community endeavors, and education. Ex-New York Giant, three-time Pro Bowl pick, and two-time Super Bowl champion, Leonard Marshall. Leonard, thank you very much for joining the conversation today. We're honored to have you.
Rick, thank you so much for the invitation. And on behalf of me and my family, I want to thank you guys for the invitation and the opportunity to not only speak to your consumer base, but to represent Carver Bank.
Leonard, before we start the conversation, I'd like to take a moment to outline Carver Bank, our history, and some of our initiatives. For over 72 years, Carver's mission has been to provide customers with access to a full range of banking solutions, regardless of income level. We are the largest African and Caribbean American managed and publicly traded minority depository institution in the United States. We are founded in Harlem and have been headquartered here our entire time. We're excited to catch up with you today, Leonard, to hear your story, and most of all, hear about your foundation, your successes in business, and all the great achievements you've been doing since retiring.
Sure,
thank you very much
sure.
for joining us today, Leonard.
You're quite welcome. Well, Rick, my journey began in Franklin, Louisiana, a small town on probably the southernmost point of the United States, a town of about 760 to 800 people strong. It was a farming town, a big sugar town, and was a town that went through a lot of changes and challenges through the mid-1960s through early 70s. I was afforded the opportunity through sports and a great vehicle of education to have a chance to play high school football and go on to play college football at Louisiana State University, where I excelled as an athlete, but more importantly, as a student. As a pro football player and joining the New York Giants in 1983, it was my duly responsibility to take on the challenge of calling myself a professional athlete and understanding, coming to grips early on what that meant. That meant both on the field and off the field, embracing the journey and not taking any of it for granted, and at the same time continuing to excel. You know, I adopted that mantra: as long as you're green, you'll continue to grow. It's when you think you're ripe, you'll begin to rotten. And everyone that came in my orbit during the tenure of my early stages career with the New York Giants, I made sure that they had value. They had value and they added value to my life and my sustainability of becoming an NFL player.
Terrific, terrific. So, Leonard, you and I've talked in the past. What are how did the NFL prepare you for some of the things that you're involved in today? And I know you're involved in so many special initiatives. I'd like to talk about who's Leonard Marshall today, and again, what are some of those things that drive you at the moment?
The one thing I took away from Bill Parcells was I learned toughness, real toughness. I learned real grit. I learned what it was to put it in every day and get it out every day. From Bill Belichick, I learned integrity in football, but integrity in life, and investing that integrity in everything I do. In other words, meeting that challenge head on, trusting in the process, and not becoming a person to waver in the course of that. I think those things is what prepared me for life after football.
Yeah, that's great. Leonard, with understanding that Carver's core mission is serving the communities and that we physically exist in, and we were born and bred in Harlem back in the 1940s. What are some of the things that you're contributing? You and I had talked about some of the things you're involved in. What are some of the key contributions you're offering? Within our Harlem community. You had suggested that there was a project you were working on.
Well, when I first got involved with Mario Procida from Procida Development Group, the one thing that he said to me was, I want to go into inner city and develop property, provide jobs and PPE opportunity for people that will need, wish, and want to grow with their economic area. I've been developing real estate all throughout the 5 boroughs of New York, Leonard, but I've never had a minority partner to come in and help me develop the concept deeper and further. So we put together a group. We sat down with NYCHA. We sat down with HPD. They loved the idea. They loved the concept. We showed them that we were financially strong and capable of doing so. We were awarded and afforded the opportunity to bid on the project. We won the bid on the project, and it just so happened that it's the project called Malcolm Shabazz Plaza, which is 120 units of affordable housing and condominiums and 50,000 square feet of mixed-use commercial. We plan to empower Harlem by hiring people within Harlem to not only work for us from the day we start to the day we finish, and then thereafter. So it is my goal and my mission in partnering with Carver to provide those people with opportunities to become depositors in your bank, which means that they now have the ability to borrow money to send their kids to college, send their kids to better parochial schools coming up to prepare for college, and continue their educations in families, much like it was for me growing up in rural Louisiana. Harlem has gone through this renaissance and this change. It's people like you that have helped Harlem create and go through such a renaissance. I want to be part of that. I want in. And I want to make a contribution. I want to make it forthright. I want to visually see Harlem through the process and growth and development, and then come back 20, 25 years later and go, I'm glad I had a hand in that. And I'm glad I had a hand in the development of those young people that ordinarily would have been left behind.
Incredibly important, incredibly valuable, Leonard.
When I first got here, my mother's only brother lives in Harlem. And when I first got here to play for the Giants, I'll never forget it. That man took me all through Harlem. He showed me everything. He showed me Sylvia's. He showed me Wilson's Kitchen. He showed me Copeland's. He showed me everything. And he told me, he said, Leonard, this is exactly why I never went back to Louisiana. He goes, you're going to love this place so much, you're going to come to love it just like me. And damn it, 40 years later, he's right. He's absolutely right. I love New York. I love New Jersey. I love the journey I've been on, and I want to continue that journey.
Well done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Leonard, look, thank you this is our first conversation. It won't be our last. I want to thank you for participating.
You're welcome.
Again, it's truly meaningful for me to do this. We've been talking about it for so long, and
Yes.
really, from deep down, I really appreciate it on behalf of myself and the bank. So thank you again.
And on behalf of my family and I, we want to thank you guys, and in particular, give my best to Mr. Michael Pugh, your CEO, and much continued success. And I hope to see you and everyone else real soon.
Thank you, Leonard. Thanks so
You're
much.
welcome. You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.